Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for December 12th, 2024. My name is Andy Hunthausen. To my left, Commissioner Tom Rolfe.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. Brandy Spangler will be taking care of us today. Good morning, Brandy. Greg McNally is the Director of Planning and Community Development. Good morning, Greg. To my right, Commissioner Candace Payne. Good morning. And further to the right, we have our Deputy County Attorneys, Nico Hash and Keegan Shea. Good morning, gentlemen. And our Chief Financial Officer, what's your name again? Frank Cornwell. He's filling in for Roger Baltz today. Good morning, Frank. I was going to say Roger Baltz. That's what your name tag says out there. So, but again, welcome everyone. Glad you're here. There's a sign-in sheet in the front as well as agendas. We'd like everyone to sign in, please, prior to leaving today so we have a good record of who's attended our public meeting. Looks like Commissioner Payne would like to say something.
Point of order. I want you to just verify this. There are 4 bearded people up here. And 1, 2, and 4 non-bearded. So we've got an equity thing. Okay, I just want to point that out.
Thank you, Commissioner Payne. Okay. So again, sign-in sheet in the front as well as agendas. We're glad you're here. And we get to kick off the meeting today with a very special employee recognition. I don't know who's going to lead that for us. Is that you, Mr. Sheriff Dutton Corner, the whole bit? Good morning. I won't blow the secret yet. I think most people know, but the people on TV land don't know. So I'll let you introduce it and then we can have some fun.
Well, good morning, Commissioner or Chairman, fellow commissioners, at all, minions.
Hey, watch that.
Welcome. And thank you for this opportunity to give honor to 3 people who are retiring from the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office with a distinct set of skills and dedication. So with that, we'll call 3 of them. This is very nice. Are you guys going to read this or do you want me to read this?
I think it'd be great if you read those.
Well, if I could have Captain Kevin Wright, Corporal Matthew Bedreau, and Detention Sergeant Sean Whitmer, please come forward.
And those with cameras or whatever, you're welcome to move around even inside the fence there, if you will, if you'd like to get some good shots. So you're welcome to do that.
Well, this is great fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although it's bittersweet when someone has invested 20 years or more than 20 years into a career, you develop a relationship, you develop an understanding, you develop a relationship with the families, and it's a part of you that's leaving. The exciting part is that this chapter closes and another chapter opens in their life. You want them to retire healthy. You want them to retire with hope for humanity and knowing that they made a difference in someone's life or several people's lives. The worst thing that they can do is retire and wonder if they did make a difference. I will tell you that each one of you have made a difference. I've heard from people about you, good and bad, but you have made a difference positively about leadership or maybe just a conversation in a hallway and being encouraging or holding somebody while they took their final breath. Those things you do that normal citizens don't ever have to do, or they spend many years in therapy if they do. But you do it without asking a question because you are public servants. So I'll read this, and I'll read Kevin's, because they did a cut and paste, so you all got credit for 22 years. I'm just saying. Yeah, you can thank the retirement. Tell the retirement board like, I want this retirement bumped up. So, in honor of your service, Kevin Wright, Captain, Sean Whitmer, Sergeant, Detention, Matthew Boudreau, Corporal, Patrol, retired with distinction. I'm just going to say 22 for all of it because it said 22. You just take it. We wish to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude for your 22 years of service and dedication to the Lewis and Clark County and the citizens we serve. Your commitment to excellence will be remembered for years to come. We wish you happiness and good health in this new chapter of your life. December 27th, 2024. It's not today, you notice. On behalf of the Board of County Commissioners and the staff of the Lewis and Clark County and your fellow co-workers and friends, thank you and congratulations. Now, this is a portion that Corporal Boudreau was just really looking forward to, of having the opportunity to speak. He tried to avoid all this. I know he just kind of pulled up his tent and quietly go away. But, 20 years is something that to be noted. And we appreciate the humility of this. But think of the people that are coming after you. And that's why it's important to stop, take note of what you have done, and in your encouragement to them that there's life after service and an opportunity to do something different, but also expound on what you have done. So after you give your short speech, short speech, we'll present you, we'll line up here, and then the families can come up and we'll take a picture. So it won't be a selfie. We'll have somebody else do it. So we'll start with you, Captain Wright. We'll give Matt time to formulate his speech. Congratulations.
Well, you're in luck because we weren't told, at least I wasn't told, we had to give a speech here today. I didn't even really know 100% what we were doing. So mine will be shorter than normal. I'll let Matt and Sean take up the rest of the time. But for a career in law enforcement, it's an absolute blessing. It's a calling for many. And the most important thing is that we get to serve the citizens of Lewis and Clark County. And I know going forward, it's in good hands. As the sheriff said, we all bring unique things to our position, and trying not to cry in public here. So it's just been an honor to get to serve and do a lot of good things and help a lot of people. And I know it's being left in good hands because of the leadership and the foundation that the sheriff, undersheriff, and all the leaders have in place. We have the right people, we have the right technology, and we have the backing from the commission, but also the backing from the citizens of Lewis and Clark County and the partnerships that we've developed and being able to go forward with those. So I know we're being left in good hands. Thank you. And I know I was going to walk out of here before thanking my family, but I didn't do that. So I would just like to say thanks to my family and friends for all the support. The other night, I heard my boys talking, and they were joking about reminiscing where they were when I was a younger deputy and on night shift, and they were talking how funny it was where, God, remember when we had to be real quiet when Dad was on night shift? And boy, we did not want to wake him up because it wasn't pretty. It was pretty funny. So
good.
but I feel absolutely nothing left on the table, and I do not regret 1 minute of my career at Lewis and Clark County. Thank you.
Captain, right before you leave, thank you. And I appreciate you pointing out your family, but you should probably introduce them.
Well,
Embarrass them a little bit since you have the chance here.
well, as you can see, I married up. So this is my beautiful bride, Katie. 2 of my 3 boys, my youngest, Ian, my middle son, Hayden, and unfortunately, my oldest son, Evan, is away at college. So he was not able to come. So
Well, welcome to all of you. Thank you. We'll probably be talking about you in a minute. We'll let these guys do their thing and we might have a few words to say, but thank you
excellent.
very much.
Thank you.
Major Black, we'll get that.
You got to say something.
Matt, I know you love this, and you know we love you back. Even though you may not feel it, we love you back. Okay. Come on up.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just want to start with saying thank you for having the opportunity to serve Lewis and Clark County for over 20 years. This was a dream of mine since I was young. And I started as a reserve deputy in 2001 and was provided the opportunity under Sheriff Lely to start in 2004 and continue on this path and journey. I've experienced many things, good and bad. Most of all, it's been the support of my family, my beautiful wife, and fellow officers who've gotten me through the last 20 years. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. And it's 20 years, is that right?
20 years full-time. Yes.
Okay. Well, you carry that thing around if he hands it to you. And then before you leave, give it back. We'll make sure that we get the right number on there, unless that's the right number, is 22.
It is 20 years full-time and be 23 reserve time, but 20 years is fine. So.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever number you want on there, we'll get it printed. We'll reprint it.
Thank you.
But thank you very much.
Wait, isn't he going to introduce his family?
Oh, how about, do you have any family here? Anything that,
My beautiful wife is standing right over there.
all right. Hi.
And
Thank-
she's a former deputy, retired,
Thanks for being here.
healthy,
All right.
wealthy, and wise. Okay, Sergeant Whitmer, or you don't have to give a soliloquy or anything, but just let it all pour out.
Oh, not all.
Commissioners, thank you for having me here. It's been 20 years, quite the journey with the detention center. Met a lot of people from the community, good, bad, indifferent. So great officers I've worked with. Sheriff's office has been awesome to work with, great staff and things like that. So I just want to give you guys thanks for giving me the opportunity and the 20 years I've had. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Here.
And how about family for you? Any family in the room or?
I've gotten my partner in crime here,
All right.
What's her name?
Gloria Soya.
Well, thank you for being here. Okay.
Would you like to bring everybody up next?
Well, I think and there might be a few words from the commission and then,
Oh.
maybe we'll get a picture with you and the retirees and the commission and then everybody. How about
Okay.
that? We'll do
All
a
right.
couple sets. Commissioners, anything you'd like to share with our friends that are leaving us?
If I might, I just want to let you know how important I think the job you do and have done for our county and our people is. There have been some really real disrespect around the nation for law enforcement officers, as far as I'm concerned, and they are the leading edge in our communities. They're the folks that protect us. They're the folks that support us. You've done a wonderful job, and thank you for your time here. Wish you the very best as you go forward.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Payne, any?
As the newest member of this commission, I haven't had the extensive time spent with you, but in my 2 years, I've been really amazed at the things you guys that our sheriff's department takes care of sort of I mean, you don't make a big deal of it. You just show up, there you are, and it kind of makes everybody calm down. I particularly wanted to comment on the detention facility that you run, or you, I guess you did run. It is, and I'd never been around a detention facility or jail. I didn't do any criminal defense work in my past life. And I'm amazed at how our guests are treated, taken care of, and treated. We're remembering that the people in our detention facility are someone's daughters, sons, brothers, sisters. These are human beings that we care about, and they made bad decisions. And until this is addressed, then you keep them safe. And I think that's an important part of your job. And actually, even before they get to the detention center, the rest of you are out there quietly taking care, making sure that they're safely, the situations are taken care of and tactfully handled. And I really appreciate that. And thank you for all you do and have done, but won't do anymore, for all our people, my family, my kids, my grandkids, friends from, I mean, you're the front line. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Rolfe. And I'll try not to repeat, but it's been said well, and I think the sheriff said it well. You know, some of the things that, well, it's with much gratitude that I first step into this. And I think that some of the things that you have experienced and seen and had to endure as servants to the public on our behalf, I can only imagine. And I am filled with gratitude for the work that you've done and the protection you've given our community and the service that you've provided to the citizens on a regular basis. And I'm glad that we mentioned the families, because it's a tough role, whether it's being quiet while dad's on night shift, or recognizing and having to be part of the aftermath of being part of a difficult situation, an accident or something like that, where we've had a tough time. So really appreciate all of that. And I didn't get to, I mean, I know both of you, Matt and Sean, but we didn't spend a lot of time together over the years, but I did get to spend some time with Captain Wright here, because he had to come and present many times. And we have had a very fun banter, and it's been great to get to know you. And I like to say that when you envision a law enforcement person, someone who's out in the field and working with our community and representing not only the county, but also engaging people, you hope that it's a person that has a smile on his face and is trying to do the right thing. And as I think Leo said at one time, you could talk the paint off a wall or something. I can't remember. He's a pretty good talker though, right? So he's moving into the right next adventure is what I'm understanding. But it's been great to get to know you and tease you. We've had fun moments around hairdos and alike as well. It's been great. But your years of service, all three of you gentlemen, thank you so much for what you have done for us, and I wish you the best in your next adventures. And it is with a grateful heart that we say goodbye, and wish you all well and good. So with that, one more time around, and we'll have you come up here. Come on up here on the rise, and we'll get some pictures. Yeah, you're going to be really tall. Okay.
We're not going to hide.
Sure, you right here. All right, how about, oh, sorry. How about the friends and family and colleagues of these gentlemen? Come on up and gather around, get a group picture. Yeah, for the shiny spots. We can have people in front too, whatever it takes. Betsy will be taking pictures for the county. She can get them out there. Oh, well, you know. Kevin Blake. Thank you all. Take that back when we get you. You want some pictures? You're good. I'm good. I'm happy. I hate to do this to it, but believe it or not, we do have some other things on our agenda today. Commissioner Payne. And I think the sheriff and undersheriff might have one more thing to share, so don't leave yet.
Yes, we do. If, when you call back to order here, we'll, two things left.
Thank you very much.
You want to cover Eric?
Welcome, undersheriff.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, we have to add one more thing to the list of great accomplishments for the sheriff's office starting today. For the last 10 weeks, we had a sergeant who was in Quantico at the FBI National Academy, and in about an hour, he graduates and is done today.
Fantastic.
So we need to say that publicly also, because that is a great thing for Lewis and Clark County and the citizens, having another graduate of those. So
Yeah.
we would like to mention that too.
Sergeant.
Eric Gilbertson.
Oh, great. Eric
Yep.
Gilbertson. Great. Wonderful. Well, congratulations to Eric.
The last thing I wanted to add, my audience left, who I wanted to talk to naturally, but I'll have another opportunity, is thanks to the family, and you mentioned it, Commissioner Hunthausen, we face terrible things, but the worst is to the families not knowing. When their loved one gets called out, to a dangerous call, they sit at home wondering, are they coming back? That's the worst, not knowing what's going on, not knowing if they're coming back, looking for a thread of information. So a lot of appreciation to the families that have to go through this each day, each week. I just wanted to add that.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for being here today and thanks for your leadership. Appreciate it very much. Okay. That was wonderful. And we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is our consent action items. I'll turn it over to Mr. Baltz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This is item 3A on the agenda. Only one item today for you. It's Resolution 2024-119, declaring county property surplus property. Staff recommends approval of that item. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioners, about the consent action item? How about public comment on the consent action item? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve consent action item number 3A as presented by Mr. Baltz.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded to approve consent action items as presented. Further discussion, Commissioners? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a bid opening for the fueling and mag chloride systems. Good morning.
This is not.
Good morning, Chairman Hunt, Housing Commissioners. I'm Audra Zacherl, Assistant Director of Public Works, not Dan Karlin, the engineer. I could see your disappointment, Commissioner Payne. I apologize for being the one to show up this morning, but we were trying to be efficient with Public Works time and having just one or two staff members here instead of three this morning. So this morning we're opening bids for the construction of a new fuel island facility and a new mag chloride storage facility at the Public Works complex using American Rescue Plan Act funds. The project will consist of constructing the new facilities on the west side of the complex, performing demolition on the existing systems, and includes 3 additive alternate upgrades if funding allows. The first additive alternate that you'll be hearing bids on this morning will be upgrading the plumbing to stainless steel as number 1, security fencing and gates as number 2, and installing a fuel quality monitoring system as number 3. We have 2 bids, I believe, to open this morning for this item. This first bid that I am opening is from Dick Anderson Construction of Helena, Montana. The bid appears to be fully complete. The addendum has been acknowledged. The bid security has been included. The bid has been signed. Okay, the bid for the base bid is $962,353. The bid price for additive alternate number 1, the stainless steel piping and valves, is $69,000. The bid price for additive alternate number 2, the security fencing, is $59,000. The bid price for additive alternate number 3, the fuel tank monitoring system, is $6,000. And the second bid that I will be opening is from Carnath Contracting Incorporated of Cardwell, Montana. Okay, this bid appears to be fully complete. The addendum has been acknowledged. The bid security has been included. The bid has been signed. The base bid price is $955,740. Excuse me, I'm going to repeat that. In my head, it didn't sound right. $955,740. The bid price for additive alternate number 1, the stainless steel piping and valves, $16,000. Additive alternate number 2 for the security fencing, $62,258. Bid price for additive alternate number 3, the fuel tank monitoring system, $40,000. Staff would like to take these bids under advisement and return to the commission in 2 weeks' time, but I know because of the holidays, that date is, we may not.
31st.
31st, December 31st.
We have a meeting. Okay, so
Thank you, Chairman.
great. Thank you. Any questions, commissioners, at this time? Bids. And just for the public information, we open all bids in a public setting like this. And then we, as has been mentioned, we ask staff to take the bids under advisement to make sure that they meet all the criteria via laws, rules, regulations, all those kinds of things, and bid specs that we required, and then bring back a recommendation to this commission at a future date. So that date is being proposed as the 31st. Commissioners, any questions? How about public comment on this item? Any public comment? All right, commissioners, is there a motion to set a date for a recommendation on the 31st of December?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to refer the 2 bids to staff for our 2 weeks and have them come back on December 31st with a recommendation.
Second.
Moved and seconded to ask staff to take the bids under advisement, bring back a recommendation on the 31st at our regularly scheduled meeting. Any further discussion, commissioners? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right, we have another bid opening. This one is for the Head Lane Bridge beams. Good morning.
Thank you,
again.
Chairman. Again, for the record, I'm Audra Zacherl, Assistant Director of Public Works. Now is the time to open bids for the purchase of precast, pre-stressed concrete tri-deck beams to be used in the replacement of the Head Lane Bridge, a Montana Coal Endowment Program funded project. The new structure will span 54 feet with a total width of 31 feet 4 inches. We have only one bid to open this morning. Okay, this bid is from Rinker Materials of Helena, Montana. The bid
Could
appears
you
to,
spell that? I'm sorry, could you spell
yes,
that?
of course, RINKER.
Thank you, sorry.
No problem. Again, this bid is from Rinker Materials of Helena, Montana. The bid appears to be fully complete. The bid security has been included and the bid has been signed. The bid amount is $117,638.50. Staff would like the commission to allow staff to take this under advisement and come back on the December 31st meeting for a recommendation of award.
Thank you very much. Any questions, commissioners? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Okay, commissioners, you heard the request. Is there a motion to that effect, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the postponement of a decision on this until our staff has time to look at it, as explained by Ms. Zacherl.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Moved and seconded to ask staff to take a look at this bid and make a recommendation to this commission on the 31st at a regular scheduled meeting. Anything further, commissioners? Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right, we move on. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-118. Intent to transfer property between certain governmental entities. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Jenny Chambers, Lewis and Clark County Public Works Director. I am here to present for your consideration Resolution of Intent 2024-118 to transfer property between certain government entities. In accordance with the Montana Code Annotated 78101, this authorizes the sale or trade of property to any city, town, or political subdivision when it's not necessary, when the item is not necessary for conduct any further county business. The resolution of intent will surplus and transfer one of the 4 snowplows the road division is replacing. It's a 1999 International with 156,653 miles on it to the city of East Helena for a market value of $25,000. If approved, this resolution of intent will then open a public comment period and protest period and will be advertised in the Helena Independent Record the next 2 Saturdays and allow for written public comment to be accepted also by 4 p.m. on December 30th at the Lewis Clark Clerk and Recorder's Office. The public hearing will then be scheduled Tuesday, December 31st at 9 a.m. in this room, 3:30 at the City County Building for the public hearing of that resolution of intent. Staff recommends approval of the Board of County Commissioners to approve resolution of intent 2024-118 to transfer property between certain government entities and to open the comment period. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to also add, in the past, when we looked at road equipment and material to surplus it, the statute did not allow us to provide these opportunities to others within the requirements. That statute has now changed. And so since we do have road equipment available, we wanted to provide the opportunity for maybe this other entities, local governments and cities that are within Lewis and Clark County to see if they have a need for that material before we just go out for an auction statewide. So the conversation with the city of Helena, they are interested that they do have budget authority. They would like to purchase the city of East Helena. And so it will benefit the citizens of Lewis and Clark County by them utilizing equipment that we have serviced and maintained for many years but are now replacing. So just wanted to provide that little bit of background, but this is the notice of intent to hear what others may think or protest period for opening public comment, and then we'll come back with a public hearing to hear any concerns folks may have or to see if there's any comments on this particular item.
Thank you very much. I'm glad there's a process for this. Commissioners, any questions at this time?
If I might have,
Commissioner Rowe.
if I understand it right, the money that we get from a sale like this will go back into our fund for replacing other equipment. Is that
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rolfe, yes, that's correct. So the revenue we do receive for this will go back into our capital improvement plan and be a savings for future equipment needs. So yeah, anytime we surplus, auction off equipment, this sale to East Helena will also be the same thing. That revenue will come back into the capital improvement plan for future road equipment needs moving forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
That was the question I was going to ask, so great.
Great. Thank you. How about public comment on this item? Any public comment on this resolution? And this just begins the process. So this resolution, any public comment? Hearing none. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve this resolution, resolution 2024-118?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve resolution 2024-118, intent to transfer property between certain governmental entities as explained by Ms. Chambers.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion, Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I just feel that this change in law is a positive thing for our county, being able to take the equipment that we've used and pass it along to East Helena like this. Probably benefits both of us. And then I think they know the kind of care that our county shops take of our equipment. And so I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else? I would agree.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, if you take really good care of the equipment and you have a reputation for that, and I think that's what our employees down at the county shop do. They make sure everything is taken care of. So when they want to turn it over, it's got good value.
Thank you. All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jenny, for bringing that forward. All right, we're on to the next item on the agenda, which is a presentation, and Mimi Wolok is here today. And this presentation is in relation to the Department of Defense grant to cooperatively assess community and military disaster resiliency planning and wildfire risk in Lewis and Clark and Broadwater counties. Mimi, I'll turn it over to you. If you want to introduce yourself for the record, then you can tell us all about it.
Thank you, Commissioners, Chair. Mimi Wolok, Realty Officer for the Department of Military Affairs, which is the State of Montana agency.
Great.
So first of all, I want to thank Greg McNally, as well as Kyle Sturgill Simon for their help in developing ideas for this grant. It has been invaluable to have their input. So the department has just received a Department of Defense grant to hire a consultant to complete 2 assessments, and they're related, but they're different, and I'll let you know how. First is a community/installation resilience vulnerability assessment, and the second one is a wildfire risk assessment. I have a PowerPoint. I can keep going. Okay. And the first slide, as you don't see, is just a little synopsis of what the Department of Military Affairs does. So we oversee all activities for the Montana National Guard and the State Disaster and Emergency Services Division. We manage the joint federal-state program that keeps our troops in the Montana National Guard ready, trained, and equipped to be called up by both the governor and the president as needed. We plan for and coordinate state responses in disaster and emergency situations. And also, I just found this out when I looked at the website, there's a community mission. We participate in local, state, thank you, and national programs that add value to America. So this grant that we just got is from the Department of Defense Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, or OLDCC. And what a local defense community is better known as a military town. Helena is a military town. Townsend is a military town as well because of Limestone Hills. So this grant covers both Broadwater County and Lewis and Clark County. And the goal, just a little synopsis of what OLDCC's role is, and they fund various grants and doing assessments and studies that local communities and state governments can apply for to enhance military readiness and to enhance the cooperation and collaboration between military towns and the installations that they serve and that serves the local community. So the participants in this grant, in the 2 assessments, we're calling a stakeholder group involving 2 counties and 2 towns, as well as other stakeholders. And I want to thank Mr. McNally in particular for all his ideas and additional stakeholder members, such as just yesterday I talked to the Economic Montana Business Assistance Connection, and they were excited and had their own ideas. For instance, hoping we can connect with Northwestern Energy as well as the Vigilante Electric Co-op. So if the commissioners or anyone in this room or the public has any other ideas about who might be on this stakeholders group, that would be welcome. And Mr. McNally has my contact information. Now, the county designating a stakeholder group member or members gives the participant and the county the opportunity to identify and develop and shape what the infrastructure and capacity gaps are now and what the county's needs are. And so the goal of the vulnerability assessment in particular is to increase the adaptive capacity of both the installations and the communities to share strategies, capabilities, and resources, which I think that are generally lacking right now. We, as an installation, would like to assist the county because outside of the installation boundaries, it is the town and the county that bears the greatest burden when a wildfire escapes the installation and when a wildfire from outside the installation threatens the military readiness inside the installation. And so in my lifetime in my career, I have come to the understanding that these assessments are no good unless there's actionable recommendations. So I really push for that. And of course, then something that's a little more understandable and finite is around the buffers of both these installations, we need a wildfire risk assessment. And we're also going to take those actionable recommendations and use them for an on-installation wildlife risk assessment, which is something that we're working on. And we're hoping at the end of this assessment, and OLDC is expecting for the local communities to consider the recommendations and, if appropriate, take action at that time. So it's going to be 1.5 years to a 2-year process. So we can come back with updates as needed if the commission would like, but otherwise, hopefully Mr. McNally will be on the stakeholder group and can update the commission. There are some interesting benefits to participating on the stakeholder group. Being able to shape and formulate what this community's infrastructure and capacity gaps are will lead to the actionable recommendations, which themselves hopefully will reduce vulnerability and risks and keep our communities safe and keep our military that live in our communities being able to continue to be military ready. And also, the success in a partnership can lead to other grant opportunities that I have found pretty extraordinary. OLDCC also has a DSIP grant, which is a Defense Community Infrastructure Program, which actually does fund infrastructure improvements, bridges, roads. There's examples on their website, and I encourage the commissioners to get on their website. If it's designated a rural community, that program, the DSIP program, can be a 0% match, so 100% funded infrastructure project, which is amazing. I don't know if this area would fall under a rural community or not. And also, this county can apply for its own OLDCC resilience grant and can use that, if it's successful and it's awarded, can use that as a match for other programs, certain other programs in USDOT or FEMA. So it really has some advantages to participating and getting a great partnership together to come up with some practical and doable recommendations and hopefully actions so that we can make our communities more resilient. And so we're just asking here, we're not asking for a vote on anything. We would like leadership's encouragement for full participation and cooperation on the stakeholders group.
Amy, thank you very much. I just right off the bat, I'm first of all grateful for this opportunity. It's great for our community. I think that we've been an engaged partner for a long time. I think it was 2012 when we engaged in the joint land use study with Fort Harrison and the military, and some great results came out of that, great recommendations. We implemented zoning around the installation and have participated in multiple open lands, conservation program easements around the property as well, so that we can try and preserve the mission of Fort Harrison and the military work that's going on out there. We recognize fully the economic benefits to doing that. The number of people that are employed here in our community via the military, as well as the infrastructure and the on base even that happens. I mean, all kinds of contractors and other civilian workers are on the base all the time working on projects, which is an economic impact to our community. In addition to that, the stuff that you're addressing, we've been working on some things for a long time, and I'm sure Commissioner Payne will want to make some comments about that. But we've, and I looked out and saw Director Chambers taking some notes about grants and things. So we've been working on ways to improve the infrastructure to and from Fort Harrison. We've done some short-term fixes, but we're looking for some really long-term, in-depth and lasting fixes to some of the infrastructure between the community and Fort Harrison and the VA out there. So with great interest, at least from me, I'm glad you're here today. And I think you pointed out Mr. McNally and Mr. Sturgill Simon as good candidates to participate on the stakeholders group, if that is what you're looking for from the county. Director Chambers might be another one that would be a suspect. So we'll keep them all in mind here as we go forward. And I'm sure that there's probably a couple other comments or questions. Commissioner Payne.
I have received many compliments for fixing the Country Club Road. Now, I didn't do it, but I was a squeaky wheel and pounding on the door. And thanks to our, to Jenny Chambers, the head of our Public Works Department, we were able to find funding to at least put a Band-Aid on that road. It's required because it is a military access road. It has, there's certain things, we can't do it. It's not, it's above our pay grade. Military has to be there. But in the meantime, our citizens use that road every day. And we need to watch out for, I mean, if one of our citizens gets killed on that road because of all the potholes and the cracks and the no shoulders, it's on us. So I want to point out our hardworking folks that have made this a team effort to get that road fixed so it's not so dangerous, and point out that I didn't do it. I mean, it was the staff that did it. I just sort of kept kicking on the door. So thank you for that. And the military is an important part of our community here. It's always been a part of our community, and we value it, and the people who do the work out there. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything, Commissioner?
No, I think that what Commissioner Payne said very, very well covers it. We're interested in exploring any opportunities that might be available.
And I do think these two assessments are, they will be telling. I'm looking forward to hearing the recommendations that come out of there. One group that you may not have mentioned, I know you mentioned MBAC and those folks, but the Chamber of Commerce is another that maybe have some interest in participating. And I think there's many members that are bolstered by the economic activity of the Fort Harrison and the employees there. So looking forward to that, and really glad you're here today. Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you so much for supportive words, and looking forward to working with the county.
I think the county wants to be a active participant. So thanks.
Thank you.
All right. How about public comment on this item? It's just presentation. There's no action here, but any public comment or any further comment? Mr. McNally, anything you'd like to add?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Greg McNally with the Community Development Planning Department. Do appreciate Ms. Wolok reaching out to us to engage with us and be a partner in their planning activities. Mr. Kyle Sturgill Simon and I have both spoken with her at length about this potential project, and we look forward to participating with her as it goes forward.
Thank you very much. All right. Appreciate it. Okay, Commissioners, with that, we shall move on. Our next item on our agenda is a sub-recipient agreement between Lewis and Clark County and Helena Housing Authority. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Ann McCauley, Director of Grants and Purchasing. Before you today is a subrecipient agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the Helena Housing Authority. This is for the implementation of an American Rescue Plan Act Direct Allocation Award. If you'll recall, on October 24th, Michael O'Neill, Executive Director for Helena Housing Authority, made a request to this commission that was approved to do a scope change to their previously awarded or approved ARPA-funded project. The new scope is to conduct a planning and evaluation activity for the redevelopment and expansion of Helena Housing Authority's Stewart campus, located right in the heart of Helena here. And that's what the subrecipient agreement sets forth, is the scope for that project to move forward. The amount of the subrecipient award is $25,000, and the period of performance is July 1, 24 through June 30 of 2026. Staff recommendation is to approve, and we have Mr. O'Neill from Helena Housing here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Ann at this time? Okay. Mr. O'Neill, anything you want to add? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael O'Neill with the Helena Housing Authority. Good to be with you today. Just want to appreciate the county support and this partnership for helping us address one of the biggest challenges facing the county, and that's preserving and expanding the supply of affordable homes for our citizens. So this step, just give you a quick update. The Stewart Homes campus, 132 public housing residences built in two phases, 1939 and 1952, are some of the oldest public housing units in the country. And we're in the process of submitting a Section 18 repositioning application, which will allow us to continue to preserve it as affordable homes with rental assistance tied to those units, but at the same time allow us to control those properties and move forward on refinancing initiatives through things like the low-income housing tax credit program, which we would expect to be able to submit applications starting this April of 2025. The one thing that's lots of folks aren't aware of is that public housing, low-income public housing program, specific HUD program, when you're under that program, your properties are under a deed restriction. And through this repositioning process, a couple things we get out of the whole process is that we will gain control of the property. Why is that important for our community? Is that public housing has had a statutory restriction since 1986 called the Faircloth Amendment, where you weren't allowed to build a single additional public housing unit on public housing property. Our repositioning will allow us to be free of that restriction. So in addition to our intended plans to modernize all of our existing 132 units, that we anticipate building upwards of 48 additional units on our existing property there at Stewart Homes. Again, to build the supply. The county funding will help us do the preliminary plans that we need to seek funding. We're doing internal and external evaluations to get detailed recommendations as to the improvements that are needed. We've done previous capital needs assessments that are feeding this planning, and then we'll do some preliminary design work for the new construction. So thank you. Any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill, and thank you for the explanation. It's quite complicated, and this whole repositioning process is quite complicated, but it is a worthy effort. And like you said, in the end, it gives you and the community the freedom to not only repair and improve some of the existing properties, but then add new ones and increase the capacity. So this is, in my mind, dollars well spent. Commissioners, do you have any questions for? No.
Just, good morning.
Good morning.
To clarify my understanding of how these programs work, are these all rental units or can people purchase one of these homes?
These are all rental units and we've been, a vital part of providing affordable homes to the Helena community since 1942.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm not second guessing them or anything. I just wanted to clarify because of the deed restrictions. And I just wanted to understand that this is still rental housing. It isn't like it's being transferred. The deed isn't transferred to someone else, which leads me to the first question I had was, do you know, is there an average length of time people stay in these? Are they there for 40 years or 4 years, or do you know?
I don't have a specific length of time. We kind of have kind of 3 or 4 kind of distinct groups that we provide vital housing to. First are those kind of new families, just kind of starting out and pulling their, getting their lives together, their work lives together, where, they're working families, and being able to have an affordable home allows them to move on in their lives. And those folks will probably stay with us shorter time period. And other working families, households may be living with us for a period when they have some period of destabilization in their life, kind of a family breakup or a healthcare, unexpected healthcare incident or accident, where people will live with us, and often they will also stay a shorter time. And then folks, a big chunk of our residents are seniors and elderly, and so of course they often will come and live with us, and some will refer to it as their forever home. That's their plan, is to stay with us until they may need nursing home care or something like that. But and those folks may stay 20+ years. Similarly, people with permanent disabling conditions may live with us for an extended period. We've had people, we recently, last year, I think we had one of our residents die, had been living with us since 1972. I think she was like 99 or something when she died. So been living with us a long time. But generally, it really is based on the individual household's specific situation.
Thank you for that explanation. I see this as a very stable living situation. The people don't just plop in and 2 months later move on.
Right.
They're there. They know their neighbors. It truly is a neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So,
In
okay,
a community,
thank you,
and it's critically important that stable, permanent, affordable homes is really the foundation of successful life and community living for all of us, really, when we think about it. I did want to add just to my comments, just because this original funding request that the county approved was for our fair market rent reevaluation study, and this county and the city's advocacy for that work made a big impact on a statewide basis, and we were able to get the state to pay for a statewide study, and that's underway and is wrapping up. This week is the final push with postcards going out to 125,000 renter households in follow-up to letters that were sent out about 6 weeks ago, and text messaging that has been followed up. We hope to have our data collected and completed by the end of next week, and then we'll be doing our analysis of that with our vendor with a submission to HUD, and that will make a big difference. It has already made a big difference in terms of increasing the fair market rents, which is the basis for calculating rental assistance, like in the housing choice voucher programs or in our homeless programs. And so people will be better able to obtain housing through those vouchers. It also will provide us a greater, in our repositioning, if approved, we'll be able to receive assistance based on those higher fair market rents which will help finance the improvements that we're planning at Stewart Homes. So just wanted to add that piece that has not gone away in the work.
Right.
Looks like it's going to be successful.
All a very positive trend. So hopefully it works our way. Any other questions, commissioners? All right. Thank you very much for being here today, Mr. O'Neill. How about public comment on this item? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the subrecipient agreement?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve that subrecipient agreement between Lewis and Clark County and Helena Housing Authority as explained by Ms. McCauley and Mr. O'Neill.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agreement as presented. Further discussion, commissioners? Just again, thank you to Ann and Mr. O'Neill that it's all a fine web we weave here, and it's complicated, but it's important work. And ultimately, these preliminary steps that we have to take and the preparation we have to take in order to get the repositioning done and the fair market rents improved. It's good work, and appreciate the strides we're taking. So glad we could be part of it. All right, with that, commissioners, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is an interagency memorandum of understanding between Lewis and Clark County and Lewis and Clark County Public Works Department. So it's one of our internal ones.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commission, Ann McCauley again, Grants and Purchasing Director. And this is a continuation of the fine web of paperwork that goes along with these funds. As you noted, this is an interagency memorandum of understanding between Lewis and Clark County and the Lewis and Clark Public Works Department. This is the second interagency MOU that you have seen. We did one a few weeks back for the Water Quality Protection District. And the purpose and intention of this MOU is the U.S. Department of Treasury has defined obligation as an order placed for property and services and entry into contracts, subawards, or similar transactions that require payment. They further clarified in a frequently asked questions document in March 2024 that an interagency agreement in the form of a memorandum of understanding would constitute this transaction requiring payment, similar to a contract or subaward. And that would therefore meet this definition of obligation that we are required to meet by the end of this month, December 31 of 24. The Lewis and Clark County Public Works Department has 3 current ARPA projects that require this obligation definition. Those projects are the Courthouse and Murray Building Improvements Project. The original obligation on this was $575,000, approved in May of 22, and amended scope approved in June 2024. The magnesium chloride tank replacement and fuel storage project, that's the bid opening that we heard earlier today. Original obligation of $400,000, approved in May of 23, and amended scope approved in December of 23. And then finally, the planning and construction of a heavy equipment wash bay at the Public Works Complex. That obligation is $68,360.72, which was approved in October of 2024. And the reason that that number is not quite as round as the others is that is the remaining amount of funds that we had in our, what we referred to as our inflationary set aside that we were using for the last 3 years as projects either went over or under budget. I'm really excited that we're in the black on that number, right? And that we can fully obligate all of our remaining ARPA funds. Staff recommendation is to approve this interagency MOU, and we have Jenny Chambers, Public Works Director, here as well.
Thank you. Great explanation. I mean, the questions that would come up about we're making an agreement with ourselves, but this is the federal rules and regs and requirements in order to make sure that the dollars are tracked properly. This is how we have to do it. So thank you for that explanation. Any questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chair, if I might, on that mag chloride situation, and it appears that the money that's set aside is like less than half of what the bids have come in at. Do we have any thoughts on, is there money set aside for a larger amount, or?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Rolfe, I'm going to let Jenny Chambers address that question.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Commissioner Rolfe, for the record, my name is Jenny Chambers, Lewis Clark County Public Works Director. If you recall, when we provided the scope change of the magnesium chloride to also add the addition of relocating the fuel island, the above ground storage tanks for our fuel and diesel tanks, in coordination with the Florence Critton renovation that's going on at their facility. That scope did expand a little bit past the magnesium chloride components in addition. So with that, we had some cost savings in our capital improvement plan on some of the master plan implementation items that we weren't going to spend. So there is a little bit of money that we partnered with the ARPA money to try to do that project. It may still not be enough based upon the bids that you've seen today. So as Audra indicated, we have to come back as a department, really look closely at the bids, look at the cost elements based upon the engineering estimate that we received, evaluate the scope of these particular project, and see where we have the funding to maybe see if we can move forward with those things. So this MOU is really critical for that, along with the other components of the projects. These take time. These take time to evaluate the bids, to get a bid out on the streets, to get the work accomplished, and then get construction to move things forward. And I'm always, my leadership style is to not rush and to spend money that we don't actually have, and to really pause and take a look at these projects before we pull the trigger on which direction we're headed. So the December end date is coming before us very closely, but with a few more months to kind of look through that, to get a construction plan in place and then have a couple of years to get construction done. That's why this MOU is really, really important. So we need time to look at that magnesium chloride one in particular, look at the bids today and figure out whether we have the funding to move forward or what the scope of the project would be moving forward.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? And so as you said in your presentation, this, we made the mark. We will have obligated all of our ARPA dollars by the December 31st, 2024 deadline that was given to us by the federal government. And then those projects have to be completed by December 31st of 26, right?
Mr.
But the
Chair.
obligation has to happen.
Yes, if I may, this is a huge milestone.
It is.
This is a major event that we were able to get all of our nearly $13.5 million of ARPA funds fully obligated. That went to a whopping 54 projects. 36 of those projects are complete, fully complete, over 68%. The remaining projects will be fully expended by that December 31, 2026 deadline. And I just want to acknowledge and thank this commission, the past commissioners, our staff and partners. This has been a very gratifying project to be part of. A lot of paperwork and a lot of numbers and at times some headaches, but it's been really rewarding and one that I know I'll look back on and be happy to be as a part of it. We've done phenomenal work within our community with these funds. And while our direct allocation was $13.5 million, it's been over $20 million with the funding from the state for the water and sewer projects, other grants that we've been able to leverage with this ARPA funding. That was the mobile command vehicle, all the work done at Florence Critton, this work at Helena Housing Authority, Habitat. It's well over $20 million. So it's been pretty incredible what we've been able to leverage with these unprecedented funds.
Yes, I'm glad that you brought that up. It's been amazing. Very, very good. And as you said, thank you to our staff, because we wouldn't be able to do it without experts that know what T's need to be crossed and I's dotted. And Carrie Luke, who's is not here today.
Thank you.
She has been carrying the ball in the background for a long, long time. And much gratitude to Carrie. Hopefully she's watching today. And Carrie, thank you very much. We miss you and we're grateful for your work. So commissioners, anything else before we go?
Mr. Chair, if I might, I'd just like to say thank you also. I think the work that you've done in your department to make sure things were handled properly has been just exemplary, and I really appreciate that work. You've been able to stay on top of this, even when we've got a glitch now and then from on amounts and bids coming in a little bit different. We've seemed like we can work around them, but without the very exacting work that you do, we wouldn't have been able to accomplish nearly as much. And when the government gives you time deadlines, it makes it difficult. There were part of that money didn't have time deadlines, and we're more open. But this one did. The ARPA money was that way. So thank you for you and your department for what you did.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Commissioner, all of you and Mr. Chair. I definitely want to acknowledge Carrie Lukahus. She's our ARPA program specialist. She's been with us since November of 21 and really is the one diving into this every day, making sure that all those numbers and all those I's are dotted and T's are crossed. I also want to acknowledge it's been an incredible team effort. Casey Hayes, our procurement officer, has been point on every one of these projects that we've had to do procurement on. Our excellent legal staff here that I'm constantly pinging, they gave us new guidance. Am I interpreting this correctly? Finance and accounting staff too. It's been a huge undertaking for all of this county with this multi-million-dollar program.
Thank you very much.
I have
Yes.
a final thing.
Oh, please.
Celebratory donuts are in the break room for afterwards.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Commissioners, anything else? Any other questions? How about public comment on this item? And again, to bring it back, we are talking about an interagency memorandum of understanding between Lewis Clark County and Lewis and Clark County Public Works Department. Anything else? Any public comment? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the interagency memorandum of understanding between Lewis and Clark County and the Lewis and Clark County Public Works Department as explained by Ann McCulley.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Moved and seconded to approve the memorandum of understanding as presented. Further discussion, commissioners? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. The horn sound and the fireworks go off. All right.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes,
just
sir.
might add another comment. Our finance office, our chief financial officer, our chief administrative officer have kept this county in a very strong financial position. And when you've got great folks like that and this department working for you to make sure you do it right, it really makes a difference. And everybody in the administrative staff who was a part of this deserves a great deal of credit.
Yes, sir. We are a lucky bunch. Yes, absolutely. I agree. All right. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is North Star Park Final Master Plan. Good morning. Hi.
Morning, Commissioners. Lindsay Morgan, I'm a land use planner for Lewis and Clark County. Today, you will be considering approval of the North Star Park Final Master Plan. Included in your packets for this morning's meeting is the post-design summary report for the master plan. This is from Sandbell, who is Lewis and Clark County's consultant for this project. This is an ARPA-funded project. And no funding is being requested with your consideration of this plan. The North Star property, or North Star Park property, is approximately 18 acres in size, and it is located north of Lincoln Road, west of North Montana Avenue, and south of and adjacent to Guthrie Road. Now, on Wednesday, December 24th, so just last week, the City County Parks Board did review the final master plan, and they did recommend approval of it to the County Commission. Today, the County Commission will hear a presentation from Kendra Petaloo with Sandbell regarding the process that was undertaken for this plan and the final recommendation. Planning staff is recommending approval of the North Star Park final master plan. Do you have questions for me?
Questions, commissioners? I don't at this time. I may as we go along, but thank you very much for that
Okay.
introduction. Appreciate it. You can leave that on. Just leave that on. Welcome.
Yes. Yeah.
can I? Thanks. Sorry. Hi, Ken repeatedly with Sam Bell, Senior Landscape Architect. We have the North Star Park Final Master Plan and the document summarizing how we got from the beginning to now. So I'll do a summary of the first part of the report and really focus on the final master plan, which is what we're here for today. So our document includes the team, the stakeholders who's prepared the report. We go through an introduction of the project, the history, its location. This was all has been posted on our project website before with our pre-design public engagement and our post-design public engagement. So on these sheets, we summarize how we engage the public. We did a pre-design where we went to the community, we asked them what they wanted in the park, how they saw this space being used. We met with stakeholders as well to review that. We gathered all this information and used that to help us draft the first concepts. We also did a site analysis looking at pertinent documents, the existing conditions of the site, circulation, climate, all of that. We also did a pretty thorough water analysis. We know water is scarce in that area, so we did assumptions based on access to one well, what that meant for irrigation. That helped inform the design as well. Here you can see our site analysis where we look at the site from a further perspective, how people are getting to the site. That helped inform where to place our elements. Looking at the site closer, where the climatic features come in, like views, wind, sun, etc. Based on that, we created some bubble diagrams that we presented to the county staff planners, and there's 3 different versions of nature focus, sport and play focus, and an equal focus. The nature focus and sport and play focus were chosen to be developed into the draft concept master plans. These were then presented to the public, to the Parks Board, to you, the commissioners, to gain feedback on these initial draft concepts. What were likes, what were dislikes, did we miss anything, etc. That was our post-design engagement. We took that feedback again, revised the draft concept master plans, presented them to the Parks Board where a preferred option was chosen. The preferred option was the nature focus. This goes through more in depth of what's involved in those concept plans. I won't dive into it too deep because we've heard them before, but this is the nature focused one. This is the revised plan. One of the revisions noted was adding a skate park or a pump track, adding additional parking. So we did that. Other than that, there weren't too many comments. And then we revised the sport and play focus as well. That was requested to integrate the play areas with the sport focus northern half a little more. So, and removal and replacement of a couple basketball courts. So we added a small play area and added more pickleball courts in place of basketball courts. Also, I think we added some berms for the noise mitigation and wind mitigation. So these 2 revised options were presented to the Parks Board in October, and that's where they chose that preferred option of the nature focus. So we took that and we developed it into our final master plan. Part of that was also listing these design development considerations as this project gets developed and built. Just things to keep in mind that were brought up through the engagement process and the review process. Things such as if the water is so scarce we can't do trees, maybe there's opportunity for shade sails instead. Looking at that throughout the park. Again, with the water, meeting with the DEQ, if we provide restrooms, how that might effect or what the process for that looks like. In our initial public engagement, a couple themes were brought to light from the community. So keeping that in mind, those will come into play, like with the details, the play equipment, plants, art, etc. Another one was the type of play equipment, whether it's traditional or nature play. The community was neutral, so just something to keep in mind as it's developed. One of the other concerns was brought to us was of artificial turf on the playgrounds. So our final master plan removed that. We just have a neutral fall zone right now, but keeping that in mind when it gets developed, what those options might be for that. And then lighting was not included in our master plan because that's another future decision to make, whether it needs lighting, how the park maintenance operation rules and regulations will affect that. So this is our final master plan. There's a full-size one at the end of this document, but based on the nature focus, not much changed from last time you saw it. We have the sport courts concentrated in the northern half, where a lot of people we see coming in from that circulation analysis, with the community room, which could potentially be just an open air pavilion, depending on, again, another design consideration as this gets developed. With that entry plaza for community events, surrounded by a water-wise demonstration garden that leads to that playground. As you can see, the play area has more of a neutral fall zone now. South of that is that pavilion with another water-wise demonstration garden and our multi-use sports field / grand lawn. Another consideration with that in the future, if water, that is our highest water use feature in the park. So if water is very scarce when that gets developed, there's a potential for it to be artificial turf. Looking at the pump track, if it's paved correctly, it can also be a skate park. It's a dual purpose. The additional parking on the east, and then the southern half of the park is more of that nature walk, natural area with the stormwater detention feature that has an interpretive trail around it. Taking that, then we looked at the phasing and cost estimate to help plan how to effectively phase this and build it in the future. We met with Ann McCauley a couple of times to see what grants might be available right away, and that helped inform our phase one. Also, just looking at what the community prioritized informed our phases as well, and we tried to divide the park as equally as possible for funding purposes. So going into the phases, we're proposing phase one be this northern half with the parking, establishing that entry plaza and some sport courts with the walking loop and the stormwater detention area, and sizing that for all future phases and getting those bones in that really the park will need to function properly. Looking at those low water use like hardscapes, no water needed. So that's a first win while we figure that out. And I will note too, these phases can be split up even further to phase 1A, phase 1B, all depending on construction availability, funding availability, et cetera. And our goal was to break the phases down if phase 2 was built and phase 3 and 4 never came to light, it would still feel like you had a complete park. That was our goal as well. So going into that phase 2, we looked at adding that community room or pavilion, the water-wise demonstration garden, and the play area, which was another high priority for the community. Phase 3 would include the nature area, adding that parking as the southern area gets developed, providing that parking to access it easy, providing that additional pavilion and the lawn multi-use field. We also put this at a later phase, knowing, again, the water scarcity. We're hoping by then it's figured out or we'll know which direction you'll need to go. And then phase 4 are the BMX pump track / skate park and that additional pavilion. Those were a little bit lower priority, so that's also why they're at phase 4. We also looked at, with the phasing, how to effectively build this without disturbing or destroying what you already built. So we think the park can remain active as these phases get built onto. Then we provided a high-level cost estimate for each phase. The total is between 5.7 to 7.2 million. And we included our best guesses at the design fees and everything. So moving forward, you would know what all needs to be fundraised for. Phase 1 is coming in between, rounding up, 1.5 to 1.8 million. Phase 2 is coming in, again, rounding up, 2.5 to 3.1 million. Phase 3, I'll say 1.2 to 1.5. And phase 4 is 640,000 to about 800,000. So that provides some guidance on, again, the grants, the fundraising that'll need to happen. And that's where we ended our final master plan development. And so going through the document more, Appendix A, that's our pre-design community engagement results. These are the raw results, the comments we received, everything for reference. And our stakeholder meeting notes are in there, so we can see how this design got developed. And these were the initial open house boards that we provided, where we were gathering the community input on what they would like to see in the park. Appendix B is our post-design community engagement results. Again, the raw results we got from open house number 2, from in-person and online feedback. And these were also our notes from when we presented to the Parks Board and the Commission. And these are our engagement boards from the second open house that we held on site and online. Appendix C are those draft master plans in a little more detail. Those are the original ones that were presented to the City County Parks Board, the County Commission, and the general public in August of 2024. These were the ones that then went through a slight round of revisions to pick the preferred option. And then our final appendix is the full-size master plan. Oh, is that it? There we go. So this is the full-size master plan for reference when moving forward with design, development, and construction. We've included all the high-level stuff we can, like I said before, with the sport courts, the pavilion, the playground. We've called out potential locations for benches, picnic tables, dog waste stations, and interpretive signage. This is the key for the elements on the board, and just some key notes to keep in mind as it gets developed and what we were looking at while developing this master plan. Any questions?
Thank you very much. I bet there's a few questions. Just a comment, another reason to celebrate. We've been talking about this potential park since that North Star subdivision was created and what might happen with these 18 acres. And I think there's people in the room that have, Parks Board members and others that have had, hopes for something moving forward. So this planning phase and getting to the point where we have a plan on the table, I think is great. And now with those elements and the phases, as you mentioned, Ann McCauley and the grants department can guide us in moving forward for looking for potential funding. And I'm sure it's going to be a combination of fundraising and grants and other things that might happen to make these phases realization. And the way that it happened with the public process and engaging the community, it isn't us,
Yeah.
county, saying, oh, here's what we're going to do on this ground. We went to the community and asked what they'd like to see and how they'd like to see it. And then there are some constraints, obviously, with water. And
Mhm.
I mean, if water wasn't an issue out there, there might be a whole different design. But
Yeah.
it's a stretch to have consistent long-term water. And I think there's higher and better uses in some people's minds, probably like
Mhm.
want water coming out of their kitchen sink. So in the area. So that's great. I'm glad that it's a conservation type of look from that perspective.
Mhm.
And it may be we don't have a lot of artificial turf in our area. It might be one of those opportunities. Who knows? I saw a couple of comments to that regard,
Yes.
but it'll be good to evaluate as we go forward.
Mhm.
So commissioners, questions or comments? Again, I just say for the understanding, this is a plan. This plan was funded by our ARPA dollars. We
Mhm.
wanted to get a plan on the table. This plan doesn't mean that the county has to come up with $5 or $7 million. They're not asking for any money. We want to have a plan on the table so that we know what we're dealing with and what it might cost, and we can tack this in phases.
Yes.
And there's lots of opportunities to do that without increasing taxes or those kinds of things. There's no intent to do that.
Mm.
So I just want to make that clear on the record. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Commissioner Rolfe first, sir.
You apparently have done a lot of work in planning this sort of thing other places.
Yes.
And what is it, a project of this size in a community our size?
Yeah.
If a community goes ahead and does it, what's the realistic time frame?
Oh, I don't know. It all depends on like the construction availability for contractors, the funding availability, the timeline. You could build phase 1, break ground once you have plans next year, but phase 2, 3, 4, it all depends. So I can't give a solid response. It all depends on the community.
Can you give examples of communities that have done this and are substantially completing parts of if not the whole thing?
I know I'm not on the project, but I know in Bozeman they have a sports park that they're going into phase 2. I'm not sure when it started, but I know they've done phase 1. It's been built for I think a couple of years. Now they're going into phase 2. There's additional phases for that. Again, I'm not on that project, but I've seen that work being done. So, and I know another project I've worked on previously at a previous employer in Sun Valley. Again, phasing, they're prioritizing infrastructure prior to doing more on the ground work, but I'm not sure where that's at either, to be honest.
So we really don't have any examples of people that have accomplished something like that.
Not from me, but there are examples out there. Yes.
Commissioner.
I've been beating on this same drum for a long time. I live out there. The water situation in that subdivision is horrendous. They have, the residents out there run out of water. Their water bills are very high. They've been in front of the Public Service Commission trying to get this situation under control. And it seems to me we can find money. We can't find water. There's
Mhm.
only a finite amount of water. I spoke to Greg yesterday or the day before about about probably 20 years ago, there was a groundwater study done. A lady named Vivian Drake was running I think she was with the DNRC at that time. And they closed the basin pending this water survey. it's my understanding that and we were looking at a subdivision by Kim Smith on Tuesday. And that was why I called Greg to find out what had become of that groundwater study. And he assured me that it did not involve the part of the valley where the Tuesday subdivision was being addressed. This one, it does, because of the nature of the groundwater in this area. It is very unstable. It's hard to predict. And this is a beautiful and fabulous plan, and I'm sure if we can bring it to fruition, it will benefit all the property owners out there. It will, enhance the value of their homes. But realistically, I'm really struggling with seeing how we can do this, even with the turf that is not grass. Anyway, I'm very concerned, not so much about money as I am with the water to make this actually happen. Also, I sit on the City County Parks Board. I did not attend the meeting that was held when they approved this. Am I supposed to recuse myself from voting on this or not?
No, Commissioner, I think that just recognizing that you're on that committee and or that board, and that board has taken action to make a recommendation to this commission. It's just a recommendation. You still have ability to vote on this and to participate in this discussion.
Okay, thank you.
On the water note too, I know Lindsay and Angie have been researching that more. I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
Sure. And I like how the phases and the options as we go through each phase takes that into consideration. So whether it's artificial turf, doesn't take any water, or
those trees do.
Talked about the water-wise gardens and water-wise situated trees, whatever that might be native to the area, those kinds of things. So there's some good things that have already been contemplated, but go ahead.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Lindsay Morgan, Land Use Planner for Lewis and Clark County. Yes, we have been looking into the water issue, and we have been we've met with DEQ, we've met with the NRC. We've also had Keegan with our legal counsel available or come to the meeting, and we've had, some really good discussions about this park, the water issues, what the status is of the existing wells that are out there, and what some of our options are. So we've talked about, possible tree diapers. We've talked about cisterns. We've talked about if the county drilled another well, all of these different things. We don't have like a final solution on what we're going to do, but we've had some good discussions and definitely taking into account the water situation that they have in North Star subdivision.
Right. So. Yeah. And this is just a plan. We're not committing to any particular water use or anything like that at this time. All of that will be further evaluated as we go through each phase too.
Chairman Hunthausen, you are correct.
Anything else, Angie, you want to add?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, no. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. How about any other questions? Comments? Okay. Well, thank you very much. This is, again, a great step, but it is just the beginning of a long road to getting this done. There's been lots of master plans done for lots of parks that have been taken all the way to completion. But it really, as you said, it depends. If we had $7 million in our pocket today,
you could do it all at once.
We could do it next summer maybe, but that's not the reality, and it'll probably be a phased approach to adding amenities to a park, and it'll probably be a long process. All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
How about other public comment? Anybody else, please? Welcome.
Do we really have to let this guy speak?
Yes, we do.
I'm really excited, Commissioners, about the donuts. So I'm really excited about that. My name's Doug Haberman. I am the chair of the City County Park Board. I've had the pleasure of working with that board for a year or so and with Commissioner Payne. I just have a few comments. It's I think a very positive and open public process. I've been to most of the open houses, and I was very impressed having done this as my career for years, how they listened and how they brought things into the plan. And you guys were never blamed for anything during the whole process, so that's really good. Kendra and her team and Angie and Lindsay did a great job. So I think it was really great. They did a great job with the board, Parks Board, and we debated a lot of these same issues you've got brought up over the course of that. But I think it ended up with a well-written plan. Again, kudos to everyone involved. I, being in the Parks and Rec business most of my career, I see this as a really important step. It's kind of a pilot project for the rest of the valley and the county parklands. I mean, there's no surplus of water really anywhere in our valley. And so, figuring out how to do this, to still provide parklands, to provide some opportunity for people to be outside and get exercise and spend time together. I find parks and trails are kind of a nonpartisan infrastructure. We all like them, and you don't really ask people about their politics when you see them out in the park. You just enjoy them and their kids and whoever's out there. So I think this is a really important step. It was well done. Obviously issues, and you've mentioned water, development costs. And is this a neighborhood park or a county park? Are people going to drive from East Helena to go visit this park? Probably not, but it's really important to the neighborhood. And I'm sure these people have been looking at this land for years, wondering when's something going to happen, and now something has happened. I think it's a pilot project looking at partners such as the neighbors, such as sport groups. These have all been partners with parks, helping fund pickleball courts, particularly seem to be a hot item these days, but your sports groups, and there's always a need for open space for soccer, lacrosse, running around, kickball, whatever. So I think this will do it. And then, of course, Berkeley Paraland Trust has got experience in developing trails and things like that. And I encourage the discussion to continue with them in terms of maybe how they can partner with some of these things. We don't need another trails construction group if there's a good one already in the valley. Another idea that outside of really the scope of this is that idea of a regional parks district. And as a park board, we have requested that we start discussing that. I know it's been discussed in the past, but this would create more of a regional parks district that would include both county and city lands. It would create a funding mechanism for maintenance, eventually development, maintenance, and management, because as you guys all know, all you folks all know, maintenance and management is going to be your biggest cost in the long term, not development. And it's kind of open-ended. They're important. These county parklands are important to our community, and they need development. They need a plan. They need management and maintenance, and this is a good step forward on that. So I think it's a fantastic thing, and I encourage you to adopt it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate you being here today. Is there further public comment?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further public comment? Anyone else like to make comment on this? Okay. Commissioners, so today we're just approving the master plan and moving forward. Is there further discussion or a motion, please? Please.
Greg's remarks about the nature of a regional parks plan, I would like to remind people that our county does not end at the top of the North Valley. There is one very small park in Augusta. It is about the size of that podium out there in the middle. This park situation in Lincoln is, they have a park, but I believe it's community funded, or it's, Anyway, we need to think sort of outside of the box, recognize there's need for parks in communities that are outside of the Helena, East Helena area, and just want to point that out. So, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comment? Is there a motion to approve the master plan?
Mr. Chair, this is a fairly major undertaking. I think maybe it would be there would be some value in leaving it open. I'd like to know what our obligation would be created by approving the plan at this point. Is there any financial obligation to the county by approving the plan?
Thanks, Commissioner. There is no financial obligation unless we choose to put money into it. I think what we have is a plan on the table, and then we can look for grants to try and address phase one or options in phase one. We can look for fundraising. I think it was brought up that the community up there might be interested in participating in that as well. There's some neighborhoods where we have a parks district, those kinds of things. So we would be looking at options of how to fund it, but there's no obligation from the general fund. Now, just remind us that this has been going on. We approved this as an ARPA project a couple of years ago. And so we've had multiple presentations on it. We've had this plan before us already once. We've had multiple public commenting sessions. We've had public interactions as described in the plan. And so it has been well vetted. So if we feel like we need a little more time, we can sure take that. But I don't. I mean, I think we've had it going for 2 years, and it's been fully committed that we wanted to know what is a good plan for this area based on its constraints, and then what might that plan cost, and how could we phase that plan. But no obligation from this commission or the general fund to fund it. We can look for other funding, and as I think has been described, there are funding opportunities out there for park development. Is that correct? You want to address that question?
Yes, Chairman Hunthausen, again, Lindsay Morgan, Land Use Planner for Lewis and Clark County. Yes, there are other, funding options available. Today's decision, whether you make it today or you make it another day, if you decide to approve the plan, it is not obligating the county commission to, spend any money on this park. We need a plan for the park. That's something that will help us get future grant money. We also have, aside from grant money options, we have park money that's dedicated as cash payments in lieu of dedicating parkland when properties go through subdivision review. So there's some money there as well. So just again, today's decision or your decision on this, if you decide to approve it, you're not obligating any county funds.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Question, if I might. How much money is in that fund, park fund in the county right now?
Chairman Hunthausen, Commissioner Rolfe, I don't know the exact number of, or the exact amount. I believe in this area, which this is considered more of a regional park, so it's able to get money from a lot of funding sources that are around the Helena Valley, not just within this area. I believe this area, is it around 90? I'm thinking it's 90-some thousand, but I'm going to have Angie answer that.
Sorry. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the fund, I believe, for the north area is around 70,000 after some of it was spent for Treasure State Acres playground equipment and some was spent for Sierra Park improvements. The total for all of the cash in lieu, I believe, and I'm just guessing, it's around maybe 100,000, 150,000.
Thanks. Another question?
Okay. No, this is in response to Commissioner Rolfe's concerns about ongoing costs. Jenny Chambers, who I admire and trust her judgment, has many times told us if we can have a shovel-ready plan and somebody drops a whole load of money into our lap, then we can proceed with it and get first in line so we can get the funding. This plan, which we spent ARPA money on, the money has been spent. This is what we have. If we approve this plan, we can stick a fork in it and they can move on. And then when the money shows up, as Director Chambers has pointed out, by golly, we've got a project, we've got the money, let's do it. And we won't have to be messing around saying, what do we do? So I think we've done the study. They've presented a wonderful plan and idea. So let's accept the plan, say we have a plan, and keep moving on to the next thing, whatever that is. But today is the day to call it done.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair, I think that's probably a good enough reason to move ahead with it if that's how we're using it. I just would like to make it clear in the motion that at this point, we're not committing any money. And so I would move that we approve the North Star Park final master plan as presented. And as a part of the motion, we're stating that at this point, we are not committing any money to it.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded to approve the plan without any funding. Commissioner, just a clarification about that. I think you're talking about general funding or budgeted dollars or whatever.
Right.
Right. So
and if there's funds out there, if there are funds available for this sort of thing that we can get from the state or the feds or maybe private groups that are interested in this, or if people in that community, in that area, want to start a special improvement district to do this.
Okay.
Let's look at them. But at this point, we're not making any commitments financially.
From our general.
Yes.
So I just wanted to clarify that because it could be that we get a grant. That grant comes to us. We have to allocate that money. So
correct.
If you're not talking about all monies, we're talking about monies that.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So if we find monies dedicated for this purpose from another source or through the cash in lieu of as a match or something like that, those are all possibles, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're clear on the intent of the motion second. All right. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you very much for everyone that brought it forward and all the work that you've done to this point. Appreciate it. Thanks. Okay. We're at that time in our meeting where we will take public comment on any item that is under the jurisdiction of the commission, but not on today's agenda. Is there any public comment? Please come forward if you state your name and address for the record, and you can have the floor. Welcome today.
Good morning. Hey, my name is Daniel Wayne. I'm coming here. I was born and raised in Montana. I'll give you a little bit of background on me. And since 2005, back then to date myself a little bit, it's weird coming back because now I'm the old guy. Coming back after 20 years. In 2005, I was 17 and enlisted in the National Guard here, and it's been a long time coming back. I'm getting back into the community now. I've organized an organization, a nonprofit here in Montana that's registered with the Secretary of State called First United Nation. First United Nation is a really fun acronym, it really is. What I'm coming here for is to basically just get permission and some guidance. What I'm finding is homelessness mitigation in the area is struggling quite a bit. I've been involved in community outreach and missionary work, resource allocation, and that kind of environment and, public service for about 10 years down in Pennington County, in Rapid City, South Dakota. Down in that region, it's about 90 minutes from the most impoverished county in America. The life expectancy on that reservation, the largest in the nation, is 45 years old. And why I bring that up is because some of the things that Rapid City faces as a community are very tailored, you would think, not tailored, but very specific to that area and the things that that community struggles with. Helena has it on point. Helena is a rock star community. I'm embarrassed to say how much of a gem I did not recognize this place to be when I lived here. Coming back after all these years, oh wow. I'm coming from a place where there are bodies on the street every single day. By the creek, doesn't even make the news. People freeze to death every single day, many every single night. Wake up, getting your coffee in the morning. Oh my, it's cold out night. There's a lot of people that slept in bushes last night, in that area, and there's thousands of them for a similar sized city. Here in Helena, there's hundreds, which compared to thousands, that's fantastic. But the suffering and the agony that some of these people are going through, with or without addiction issues, with or without, the mental health issues, which are obviously, a very substantial part of it. With or without those, there aren't physically enough resources in terms of housing and placement for some of these individuals to go to. So what they're going through is extreme. It's extreme everywhere, but it's particularly bad for a lot of these folks that are out here. And all of the lands that are in the area are not available. The U.S. Forest Service, the federal stuff behind Mount Helena, all this is gone. All the city is gone. Everywhere, as far as the eye can see, in every direction, except maybe 10 degrees to the south and southeast of the area that we find most of the homeless folks hanging out at, it's all off limits. It doesn't happen. So what I'd like to do is just get the commission's permission to just bring a couple small handouts, maybe next meeting or maybe a couple weeks down the road, something a little bit more formal. I've not done this sort of presentation before, but what I'd like to do is present a little bit more formally the demographics, what we're looking at, what kind of numbers are we looking at, planning on how we can phase up and start dealing with this issue and attack the issue, because it is a very painful issue, and I've been in it before in my life. Maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's been about 15 years ago. I struggled a little bit, having been an urban outdoorsman myself. I had some issues that I needed to deal with in life, and a lot of times there's things happening that have nothing to do with the typical things that we want to blame as the issue. We have God's love, we have our place, and we have almost literally nothing else. There were more than 30 people that slept on the floor last night there because they were lucky enough to get a ride there. And there was no more room. So what I want to do is address this issue. I've done it in communities successfully before. I would just like to talk about maybe bringing some handouts for you. And then at that point, maybe talk about getting on the agenda and doing something a little bit less time consuming. That's all I have.
Thank you for your comment today, Mr. Osborne. I really appreciate you being here and giving us some feedback. Appreciate it.
Is that okay with everyone? Come back next week, maybe with some things to leave for folks to read about. And then we'll schedule a time that I can maybe have 10, 15 minutes to present, maybe a PowerPoint, something basic.
Mr. Osborne, you can come anytime during public comment, and you can give information to the commission anytime. I'm happy to visit with you after the meeting about how our agenda works and how we put things on the agenda and that kind of thing. I'm sure she's happy to do.
I did want to add one thing, that one of the things that's going to be on the documents that I bring is just the main issue that we're running into. And this is coming with, there's so many people that want to be a part of the solution, but there's nowhere to put the materials that we have. There's nowhere to physically place the people that want to build these, like the MASH tents. We're going to phase up this process, and there's a plan being developed that we can actually start getting hundreds of these people in a place to slowly transition them into a better position while we're waiting for things like Stewart Homes to increase and expand, and the wait list on Section 8, which has been frozen for 4 or 5 months now, zero movement for anybody. Nothing at all is being done. So I just thank you so much for your time. I'd love to speak with you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is there any other public comment today? Any other public comment today? Any other public comment? All right, hearing none. Commissioners, thanks for a good meeting. We will stand adjourned.